Hello, welcome to Chapter 8 for Business Math called Loans. This is Lesson 8.1, Single Payment Loans. As always, make sure you are looking through the chapter, pay attention to the lesson, what vocabulary and concepts are new, and go through the examples in the chapter. It's important to understand not how to get it done, but what are you doing. As we move forward in these chapters, we tend to get to the point where we need to understand all the little pieces that we've learned so we can apply them all at one time. So if you're not taking the time to understand what you're doing, you're going to get to a point in here where you get a little confused and you're not sure what to do. So read the chapter first, then come over here to work on the worksheet. All right, so let's go ahead and read this summary here. A single payment loan is a loan that you repay with one payment after a specified period of time or term. Ordinary interest is calculated by basing the term on a 360-day year. Exact interest is calculated by basing the term on a 365-day year. The maturity value of the loan is the total amount you repay. So there's just two different calculations here. We either can do ordinary interest, which we do principal times rate times time, but time is divided by 360, or exact interest, which is principal times rate times time divided by 365, because there are actually 365 days in a year. But sometimes we round it down to 360 to kind of simplify it a little bit there. So maturity value equals the principal plus the interest owed. So not owned. Once we calculate the interest, whichever one it's asking us to do, either ordinary or exact, then we add that back to our principal, the original amount we had on the loan. All right. So Terry Bergolt's bank granted him a single payment loan of $1,400 at an interest rate of 6% exact interest. So they're telling me which equation to use. Exact interest on this one. The term of the loan is 172 days. So that's also another important piece here. What is the exact interest? So I'm going to use the exact interest calculation here. I'm going to have principal, which is 4,400 or 4,400, times rate, which is 6%. Make sure you're paying attention to that. Don't just say times 6%. So if I had that up here, I would take my decimal that looks like it's right here and go 1, 2. So the actual decimal without the percent sign would be 0.06. So just pay attention to that. You can also do this on a calculator, which I should be able to get open real quick. Let's see, can I drag it over there when it's full screen? I can't. Okay, let me minimize this really quick. Boom. So if I go 6 and then you hit the percent sign here, it will move it for you. Be careful with that. Depending on the device, it may automatically multiply it by what you put in last. So just be careful with your device. You have to understand how it reacts. Because I know on my computer, the calculator on my computer and my phone look identical, but they do react differently, especially when I'm using division for some reason. So just be careful with that kind of piece there. All right, and then times time, which we have the time that it gives us, which is 172, over 365. So we need to divide that. Basically, we need to figure out what piece of the 365 days is it. So we're going to go through and we're going to start multiplying here. And I maximize my screen. I shouldn't have. So I'm going to bring my calculator back over. So we have 6%. I'm going to go ahead and leave that in there because I already did it. Times 4,400 times. Now, when I'm looking at a fraction, the top is multiplication, the bottom is division. So I can go times 172 equals, and then go divided by 365 is, and this will actually give me a piece of it. You can also do this separately. So I can go 172 divided by 365, and that's going to give me this decimal here. And then I can go back through and multiply my percentages. And I should end up here with the exact same. Whoops. See, it's reacting funny because I did that percent sign, I think. So let's try it one more time. Times 0.06 times 4,400. So I believe we came back to the same number there as the one I did to begin with. So the other one reacted a little funny because I hit times 6%, and I said my computer reacts a little funny with the calculator. I'm not quite sure why the settings are different on my computer and my phone when they use the same operating system, honestly. So it's kind of an interesting deal that they react differently. So we have 124.41 here. That's the amount of our interest. That's not our total loan. Our total loan, our maturity value, is going to be the $4,400 that we started with plus our interest. We have to add those two guys together, and that'll tell us how much the total loan is worth. I think I'm going to let you guys do that calculation. That one's pretty darn easy. All right, looking at the next couple here, we have number 2, pretty much identical. The only difference is pay attention to the wording, because she obtained a single payment loan of $420 to pay a repair bill. She agreed to repay the loan in 90 days at an interest rate of 6.25% ordinary interest. So now you're going to use, for that to go there, ordinary interest, not exact interest. So pay attention to the wording. So you're going to do the same calculations, but instead of 365, you're going to use 360. And then once you know your interest, you add that back to her loan of $120. All right, let's see. I want to look at number 3. So Ruth Brown wants to borrow $2,600 for 90 days to pay her real estate tax. State savings and loan. So here, let me scooch down. Sorry, I was looking at my paper there. State savings and loan charges 7.25% ordinary interest. So that's state savings and loan here. That's one place. And she wants to borrow the $2,600 for 90 days. So we need to also keep that in mind. Security Bank, so this is another place, charges 7.5% exact interest. What is the maturity loan of each loan? So we have 2 answers here. We need to make sure we give an answer for both. And I believe there's a big space here. There's another line on my page on the answer key. So hopefully there's another line on the page here for the students. So we need to go through and calculate each one. So you're just going to go through and you're going to have state savings. And that's going to give you principal times rate times time divided by, this one is ordinary interest, so it's going to be 360. And then state bank, we're going to have principal times rate times time divided by exact interest, meaning 365. So not necessarily going to do the calculations for you. You just have to fill in the pieces here. The principal is going to be the same for both. It's going to be $2,600. The rate is going to be different because one's 7.25. That's for the first one. And then the second one is 7.5. So make sure you're plugging the rate in correctly. And then time is not going to change either. The T for either one of these, it's 90 days for either one. She's just trying to decide which one's the better loan. So you're going to plug it in. You're going to calculate it just like we did up here. Just pay attention on your calculator. Make sure you're not kind of having that funky issue there. And you can always calculate it one piece at a time. So you can do, 90 divided by 360. What's that? And then times 7.25%. And I would type it in as, moving the decimal instead of hitting that percent sign, unless you type in 7.25% first and then multiply by the answer that you got here. And then you can multiply by your principal. So I would do it a piece at a time here, just to make sure you get the right one. And then this answer here, once you have your 2 loan amounts, you're just deciding which one's the best one to borrow from. And remember, you're looking for the lower amount because this is something you have to pay back. So you're not looking for the most here, you're looking for the least. All right. Let's see. If you had a chance, to lend $6,500 at 5.25% interest for 95 days. If you charge ordinary interest, how much will you earn? So you have your principal, you have your rate, and you have your days. Now you're just going to go through same thing number 3 and just make sure. Ordinary interest means that you're going to divide by 360. For part B, you're going to do exactly the same. You have your principal, your rate, your days. The only thing that's changing is exact interest. And then on part C, you just have to explain which one is better. Now, in this case, you're lending the money. You're going to get the money back paid to you. So you probably want to look for the one that's higher. This isn't a loan that you have to pay back. This is a lend that you're giving someone else, and you're going to get the money back. So if you're looking to make more money, you're going to want to choose the one that, is bigger in this case, gives you more interest back. No matter what, you should get your $6,500, but the interest will be a little different based on 360 or 365 for the days. All right. So let me scooch down. Don't know why my dogs are barking here a little bit. All right. So let's look at the algebra one just for a second here. So Harry Church borrowed $17,500 at 6.5% exact interest. He had to pay back a maturity value of $17,873.97 to pay off the loan. What was the term of the loan? So we have a principal, we have a rate, and we have a total. If we remember, we need principal times rate times time. We don't have the time. So they're asking us, what was the term of the loan? Term means the length of the loan. So if I go back to that, so maturity. So maturity value, sorry, those are running together. Value equals principal times rate times time. And time is going to be divided by 365 because it's exact interest. Again, just pay attention to that wording. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and plug some numbers in here, and then I'm going to let you guys finish this off. So we have the maturity value is this amount here. This is our total, what he had to pay back. And it even says maturity value right here. So $17,873.97. And that's going to equal his principal, so his original amount, times his rate, which they did give us here, 6.5, this is a multiplication sign, percent, times time. So we have T divided by 365. So T is the only piece we don't know. So in this case, I would definitely start by multiplying these two guys together here. And then we can, start moving pieces around. So here, I'll kind of do just a little bit more here before I ditch you, just because there's a fraction. So kind of changes things up just a little bit there. So this side's not going to change, but let's multiply these two together. So we end up with 6.5%. So my calculator, my computer works correctly if I type that in first. That's what I was saying a little bit earlier. If I type that in first, I'm perfectly fine. If I type it in after something else, it tends to react a little funny. All right, so times, I'm going to do 17,500 equals, all right, so I have 1137.50 times T over 365. So now what I can do is I can subtract this 1,137.50 from both sides so that all I have left on the right side here is T divided by 365. And to get T by itself, since it's being divided by 365, I can multiply by 365. And that'll bring me to my my total number of days. I'm going to have to round because it's a decimal on this one, but you just round up to the nearest whole day instead of a decimal of a day. All right, so hopefully that makes it a little bit easier on this one. We'll let you guys finish this off and hope it helped. I will see you in section 2.